The only thing that can make me go against Taribo for being GOAT was just because he didn't sign for my team.
I just think that MPFL is the best that I can give him in this ranking. Does anybody disagree or agree with me?
I disagree.
Disagree.
Everybody disagrees.
Massive disagree. I was even looking at the names that is he talking about somebody else? I think I only said that for content. I was like,
Hello, guys. Hello. Welcome to the first edition of ET Ranks, where we are going to be ranking Nigerian players into different tiers, different categories, and of course, we'll be giving you our top 5 Nigerian players by position of all time. For this one, you guys know I had to come with the heavy hitters. I had to bring people that I know have a lot to say on this topic and have that extensive knowledge of Nigerian football. My dear friend, host of the Nigeria Football Weekly podcast, Olu is here. Olu, welcome.
thanks for having me, guys. Always a pleasure to be on, and in esteemed company. So yeah, looking forward to it.
And also, you guys know him from Gun Football. You also know him from the Niger FC podcast on EaglesTracker. I call him the Nigeria Football Encyclopedia. Sweetlai, welcome.
Thank you, IoT, for having me. I'm looking forward to this series. Hope you guys gonna enjoy it too. Thanks for having me.
Last but not the least, a fan of AC Milan in the Italian Serie A, and of course, a huge fan of the Super Eagles of Nigeria. Mr. Adedotun, welcome.
It's a privilege to be on this on the on this program. Thank you for having me once again.
Yes. So just let me explain quickly how this is going to work for everyone that's watching. We have 20 Nigerian players. This video is going to be ranking the top 20 Nigerian defenders of all time. So we have a list of 20 players and we have 4 tiers. The lowest tier is called NPFL. Then we have the Super Eagles tier, we have the World Class tier, and then we have those that are in the GOAT status. And we are going to put them 5 into each tier. And we're going to take turns to select who decides to go into each tier. It's going to be a fun one, and I hope you guys enjoy it. Olu, you have the list of players. Who is your first pick, and what tier are you going to put that player in?
Yeah, privileged to go first. I think based on my age and my generation, there's only one defender to start with as number one pick, and that's the great almighty Joseph Yobo. Joseph Yobo is going to the GOAT tier, the top tier of any ranking of Super Eagles defenders as far as I'm concerned. First of all, if we can talk about his international achievements, this is a player that won the AFCON, so he has checked that box. Even as captain, he played in World Cups, at least 2. He also played in one World Cup where we made the knockout round, which is the best result Nigeria has ever had in our 3 times that we made the round of 16. Also, as all of us here love football, Joseph Yobo is the most prominent Super Eagles defender to have made a lasting impact in the Premier League. If you look at the appearances he made, he was part of that Everton side that even finished 4th in 2005. He's one of the few players in Premier League history to play every minute of every single game of a Premier League campaign, all 38. So as far as I'm concerned, when it comes to Joseph Yobo, there's no debate, there's no Kinikon discussion. He's in the GOAT tier, in my humble opinion. So that's my first pick.
Do we agree on Joseph Yobo going into the GOAT tier?
I think I have to agree because of the defenders we have, from generation to generation. It's not as if we have a World Cup winner, but we have to wait till we get. We have to appreciate. I would appreciate, and I was fortunate to know how he started. I remember knowing for the first time in 1999, he played as a striker, in Nigeria 1999. So, and something that just realized that there's a boy from Standard Liège that is going to play our right back. Not be the guy who play striker before. From there he kicked on. I remember his game. I remember 2002 AFCON. That was his first AFCON. He won bronze medal. He made the assist to Agawa in the World Cup 2002. Fantastic player. And a lot of people will disagree with this. They call him Calamity Yobo. But this time around, I think he's going to good status. I think Yobo did well for Nigeria. One of the most highest cap Nigerian players.
As long as we have one person in agreement, then Joseph Yobo is in the GOAT tier. Okay, let me jump to Mr. Adedotun. Mr. Adedotun is your pick. Who do you pick and what tier are you going to put the person in?
I'm going to pick no other person than Stephen Keshi, the longest serving Nigerian captain, because this was the first man to lead Nigeria to a World Cup. You know, I played, he won the AFCON as a captain too, and he was the one that opened the door of professional football to many African players. When he was in Belgium, and he was actually the first Nigerian, the African, to captain an European team when he was captain of Strasbourg in France. I Why I picked Mikel Keshi was because of I'm not going to say it's because of the undying love for the national team. Keshi was supposed to play for some clubs, but when they told him that, oh, you have to choose the club over national team, Keshi led the clubs. Keshi was someone that loved Nigeria as a player and as a coach. So as I'm putting him as G.O.A.T, GOAT, on arguing Nigeria best.
So we also have Stephen Keshi going into the GOAT tier. So let's just be aware that we only have 3 more spots in GOAT and we have to fill up the entire chart.
Let me just back up Stephen Keshi, why I think it's go with good status. A lot of people did not know that he narrowly missed making the AFCON 1980 team. He'd have been winning 2 AFCONs, maybe probably the first Nigerian to do that. He was in national under 20 team then. And from he was the longest serving captain in the history of Nigeria. He captained Nigeria in 1984 AFCON. We went to the finals. He played in his first AFCON in 1982 in Libya. So he's a player that, in fact, it should be in the conversation of one of the Nigerian greatest player ever. So for me, it's got to be in a good status.
He's one of the first names I ever heard of when it comes to the Super Eagles. He's everything he did for the national team is well documented. The passion, even the clips that we're able to find, the limited ones, we know there's a clip of him lifting the 94 Nations Cup. And so from even the little I knew before his time, I definitely agree that Keshi is definitely good tier, even if there's 5 spots.
And I have to agree as well. And we're only looking at his playing career, but we can't forget that he also won the AFCON as coach, in 2013. Okay, Smidlai, is your pick. Who are you going to select and what tier are you putting them in?
I wanted to go for Stephen Keshi before. I know Tuanshi would pick that ahead of me. So I'm going to go for the chairman himself. I think Christian Chukwu. I'm going to put Christian Chukwu slightly below the GOAT tier. I think I'm going to put let me just put the world class tier, the first class tier. And the reason why I'm going to put that is because with due respect, he captained Rangers for so many years. They won Continental Trophy. And but there's one thing that they did not do. He failed to lead Nigeria to the World Cup. It was close in 1976. No, 1977. Sorry, when unfortunately Obinna Nwaneri scored the own goal in Lagos. Against Tunisia. That stopped him from going to Argentina in 1978. Yeah, it was also part of the team preparing for his 92. But unfortunately, he was already past his prime then. I think Bellumi was the one trying to dribble him. So for me, I think he did well for Nigeria. But not taking Nigeria to the World Cup. I think that's why he's not going to be the GOAT. So for me, I think he did well for Nigeria. So world class status for Christian Chukwu.
Do we all agree? World class for Christian Chukwu, or anybody disagrees with that?
I also agree with Smidlai because I was able to watch a little bit in 82, maybe one match, and I realized that these were players that played when the local league and African football competitions were top tier in the world. So, and these were guys that gave their best to the national team and to their clubs. So, as I agree with like, I would have loved to put in my G.O.A.T just because then it was all about African football. That's what I'm believing. Is that where he puts in? I agree with you. Like,
That's great. So we have 3 knocked down. And then to my pick, I am going to go with Obinna Nwaneri. This is one that some people might have thought, oh, why is he even on this list of 20 players? But, I have to look at his career and give him some credit. 2-time CAF Champions League winner with Eimba, 1-time CAF Super Cup winner, won the Tunisian Cup, won the Tunisian Ligue 1, and also won a Swiss Cup. But when you compare him to the other 19 players that are on this list, I think there's only one category that I can put him in, and that's going to be in the NPFL category. It's not a knock on him. To make this 20-man list means that he's a quality player who had a decent, to very good career. But I just think that the other names that are on the list stack up much, much higher against him. So for me, Obinna Nwaneri is going to be in the NPFL tier. Any disagreements?
I agree with you. I watched him many times when I was in local league, from local league. I watched him even against most of my teams. I think he was very good on the local scene. So even though he played from one team for the Super Eagles, I wasn't that, to me, it wasn't that good for Super Eagles. But I think I kind of agree with you. NPFL.
I think his partnership with Uga Okpara in the center of defense in Nigeria was one of the best partnership in the MPFL history. I have to be honest with you about that. Uga Okpara, Obinna Nwaneri, fantastic partner. Your Romano Ginger, very, very good partnership. So for me, what is going to be MPFL? When it was time for him to deliver for Super Eagles, I don't want to go into details, but for me, I think it's MPFL.
Okay, well, back to you, Olu. Your second pick. Who do you select and what tier are you going to put it behind?
Remove your minds from the recent mishaps of what happened in Zimbabwe and let's look at it objectively. I think when you look at William Troost-Ekong, I will place him in the world class tier, just under GOAT. Now, Ekong is one of those players that I think we have to be objective that we're factoring mainly his Super Eagles career rather than what he did for his clubs. Now, when you look at his Super Eagles career, he's already in the top 10 when it comes to Super Eagles appearances. He has made 71 caps for the Super Eagles, which puts him in 10th place. I mean, how many Nigerian players ever won Best Player at AFCON? I think GG might have won it once. Correct me if I'm wrong. Or I'm not even sure. I think 04, but
04, yeah.
04, that was a great.
Yakini also won it.
Yakini, thank you. So look at the names we are putting a Kong in, by the way. So that tells you why he has to be in the world class category. We did not expect it. We know he was out of favor from Pesero at the time. We weren't even sure he would get called up into the national team. But my God, I don't think anybody except Ekong's family could have foreseen the kind of AFCON campaign he was going to put together. Whether it's the goals he scored, marshalling the defense, just showing really good leadership and taking us all the way to the final. Even scoring in the final. You can't even say not do his parts. The guy did everything to collect that AFCON trophy. And then if it's by World Cup, Ekong has also played in the World Cup. Yes, it's a shame that we know what happened in that last game with Argentina and Marcos Rojo again. But when you look at his Super Eagles career and the consistency, he's been playing for us for over 10 years. He never turns down a cap and he shows really good leadership skills. Yes, at the moment, we can begin to look at what could be next or in the production line. But I think when we objectively look at the career he's had for the national team, also, he might be one of the few foreign-born players on this list that is able to show us the dedication of what it means to represent the Super Eagles and embody it to the point that, he's even doing those charitable things in New York and he gets to play in his hometown. So for me, based on what Ekong has done in his career for the Super Eagles, I would say he's in the world-class level, considering the level of defenders we have in general.
Okay. Any objection to that? Ekong in world class tier?
I don't want to sound like a broken record, I'll actually forget that if he was a goat. But, in terms of talent, I think he's not close to about 10 of these guys on the list. But the issue is that the way he carry himself, the composure, and his achievements too with the national team, that's why I have to agree that he's in that world class category.
The AFCON best player has bumped it massively, but look, that's a massive achievement.
That AFCON best player really actually what? Because no, I think Chukwu won AFCON best player in 1980. So for you to look at that and put Chukwu as a world class too. So that's why we just take to Ekong as world class, yeah.
If it was my pick, I won't lie, I would have probably picked him in Super Eagles class. But hearing Olu's points, I understand why you're picking him in world class. And as long as Midlight has agreed, you only need one agreement. Ekong is in the world class category. Okay, Mr. Adedotun, your pick now. Who do you pick and what class are you going to put the person in?
This is very difficult, but let me just go with Yisa Sofoluwe. Yeah, a lot of people don't know. This guy, having played two finals of the AFCON 1984 and 1988, and he played when players were not really going to Europe for football. It was later in his career that he went to Germany, but he was a dominant sport in the local scene. Yeah, at least he's like player almost like 40 caps for Nigeria. If Yisa Sofoluwe, I think he came for his time. He was only a defender that will mark you and will not just stay. Having received a yellow card, I will still put him in world class because if you are playing now, people will have rated Sofoluwe above everybody. So as for me, I'll push that world class there.
If I want to object you on that, for me, I will put him because looking at the defense minister himself,
This is defense.
yeah, with due respect to players that have played after him, I think he's the best fullback in Nigerian football history. He just came before his time. And when I saw this guy for the first time, Tyrone Ebuoyi, when I saw him play for Nigeria for the first time, I was like, oh, this is Sofoluwe coming back. But unfortunately, injury did not really help Tyrone Ebuoyi. But I like the reasons for that world class. But I don't. That means that you don't pick any fullback in your goals.
Smith Larry, are you objecting to him being in world class?
If we're going to pick any fullback as a goat, I think you fully well should be there.
There's no rule that says that a fullback has to be there.
I think it's that good. I think it's that good. See,
so you're objecting?
I'm objecting. I think it's.
Are you objecting, or do you agree that Sofoluwe?
I didn't even know his name till today. Let me not even pretend. God loves the honest man. Now with what Smith-Lai added, there's a fullback that I was going to recommend for the GOAT category based on the last 20 years. But if our senior men say this Mr. Yisa Sofoluwe,
The defense minister.
then I think I will accept that they should put him in GOAT because this person I want to talk about when in my time again, I would have put him there. So that's my 2 cents on that one.
Okay, so Olu's objecting. So I think for me, I'm looking at it honestly. We already have two people in GOAT, in Yobo and Keshi. I'm young, so I didn't watch Yisa Sofoluwe, but I know that when I started first hearing about Nigerian football, my dad always used to mention his name. Even when he talks about Nigerian football and the history till today, he always mentions Yisa Sofoluwe. So it just means that certain other players might have to miss out. But I'm going to also object, and I'm going to say, based on his status, based on how those that watched him play, Mr. Adelson, you might be on your own on this one, and I think the rest of us are going to overpower you and are going to put Isha in good category.
And let me just say something. I know that something in your mind is putting this man to goats, but because of the names we have here, because you are a very fan. When I asked you to choose your all-time best 11, you went for Sofoluwe, at the fullback.
If you are going to put Yisa Sofoluwe in GOAT, I don't see any reason why I should not put Chairman Christian Chukwu as a GOAT too. The same fate that befell Chukwu befell Yisa Sofoluwe. So that's why I said I'll put in world class.
We're already past Christian Chukwu, so we cannot go back and move him.
This guy, Sofoluwe, example for all defenders. It doesn't get yellow card. You see, the way he starts the game.
Never got cautioned.
No, he cleans. Since when he went to the on that 20 World Cup in 1983. Since then, he didn't look back. So for me, I think it goes here.
Mr. Adedo too, we have a lot more central defenders that had fantastic careers compared to fullbacks. So
let's go to Smith Larry. Smith Larry, is your turn. Who are you picking and what category do you place the player in?
I've looked at this thing very well, and you really put me in a very tough spot about this. But I have to just mention this guy there. I have to talk about Taribo West. For me, when I was growing up, Taribo West is like the example. Like if you want to mark like Taribo West, if you want to do everything like Taribo West, and even people from other African countries too, Taribo West of Africa, not of Nigeria alone. And if you look at Thierry Henry when he spoke about Taribo West, He marked him out of the game and everything. And if you have not really watched Taribo West, you don't really know how good this man is. Motivation, commitment for the to the game. If I'm putting Joseph Yobo as a goat, I have to push Taribo West there, because despite that, you've never seen a Nigerian player play for AC Milan, Inter Milan, though his time with AC Milan was not really good, he wasn't playing that much. Yeah, but he played for some decent sides. He played in nearly all the top leagues in Europe. He played in Ozel in France. He played for Celestine, in Germany. He played for AC Milan. He David Kante in the Premier League. He went from pillar to post. He played, and he also won the Olympic gold for Nigeria. Part of also the AFCON final in 2000. In Lagos. So for me, I think if I have to pick Joseph Yobo, talking about exposure and everything, I think I have to go with Taibo West. And remember, even Olympics alone, what he did against Ronaldo and everything. For me, I have to put him in the good category. And I do can disagree with this, but for me, Taibo West goes there.
Let's not even get into disagreements. Midlai, I agree with you. And you only need one because it was one of the people that I had on my list for goats. So for me, I would have fought if you guys wanted to put Taribo West anywhere else. I would have fought. So I'm happy with that.
So nobody argues. I'm the same too. Taiwo is defense defender for Nigeria. His defense one I watch.
Thing is that right now we have Yobo, Keshi, Sofoluwe, and West in goats. So let's save that last spot.
IoT. Taribo West is the most recognizable Nigerian defender globally, in my opinion, even till today. Living in this London, I've had people say, "Oh, Nigeria, do you know Taribo West?" He's still the name that people they reference or mention from even back. So that definitely counts massively.
The only thing that can make me go against Taribo for being good was just because he didn't sign for my team. Especially stuff, because he was always against especially stuff. That's only, but just apart, I agree. He is a goal.
So let's try to fill up the other spots. We have nobody is yet in Super Eagles, and we have just one person in MPFL class. We have two in world class currently. Okay, it's back to my turn. Looking at this list, I'm going to pick somebody that I like personally. Won the AFCON, as a young star playing for Nigeria. But when I look at his overall career, even though he has served us very well, he hasn't quite lived up to maybe many of the other names that are on this list. And of course, we know that recently he has, even though he's still active as a football player, he has been out of the squad, and there's a chance that he might not get to represent Nigeria again to be able to beef up his achievements with the national team. And when you also look at his club career, unfortunately, even though he started for a big club like Chelsea, he wasn't able to carry on with those kinds of heights, and he wasn't able to achieve too much in his playing career at club level. I'm talking about Uncle K, Kenneth Omeruo. I think it is a privilege for him to have been on this 20-man list, but I am going to stick him in. I'm going to stick him in Super Eagles. I don't want to put him in MPFL because he did win the AFCON as a key player in the team. But I don't think we can put him in world class. I definitely don't think we can put him in GOAT. I'm going with Uncle K, Kenneth Omeruo, Super Eagles. Anybody disagree with me or anybody agree with me?
I agree with Super Eagles. I agree with you.
That's all. That's what I need to hear. Uncle K, Kenneth Omeruo, Super Eagles class.
As far as you win AFCON, I'm sorry, you have to be.
We'll give you some credit for that.
Also, Meru played in the World Cup in 2014 and even started against France. So shout out to him for that. Back to me. So to spice it up as you've done as well, this is a player who's similar to Kenneth Omero. He won the AFCON in 2013. He was also part of the Super Eagles squad in 2014. When you look at his club career, you could say, okay, it wasn't necessarily the best, but he had some decent spells playing for Celtic. And I'm talking about the one and only F.A. Ambrose. I think F.A. Ambrose is one of those players where, like Troost-Ekong, you have to judge him based on his Super Eagles career. Smith Lai and Mr. Dido, to please correct me, but I'm pretty sure I watched F.A. Ambrose play for Nigeria under 20, under 17,
Let's do it.
under 20 World Cup as well. So, in my opinion, whether you like it or not, Efe Ambrose was a very good servant for the national team. Started in the AFCON, won the AFCON final for us, and also was a pretty crucial player to an extent in our national team that went to the 2014 World Cup, also playing in a few other AFCONs. So, in my opinion, Efe Ambrose, for his achievements with Nigeria, goes into the Super Eagles tier and has had a very commendable Super Eagles career as a defender.
What do you guys think?
I have to agree on Efe Ambrose, Super Eagle category because look at his career, he's just there. When he's playing, his position is not empty, that is it. So it will give decent job. It will, he was playing central defense before he went to right back, he was in Celtic, he was also in Israel. So it's just like, normal Super Eagle level. For me, I think it's just Super Eagles too.
Okay, we have one agreement, so that's all we need. We're putting Efe Ambrose in the Super Eagles tier. Okay, Mr. Adidotun, who's your next pick?
I'll go for Taiye Taiwo because shout out to him. He moved from Lobby Stars straight to Marseille, and from there he moved to AC Milan. Even though he started with AC Milan, wasn't that fruitful, but for him to have played for two clubs that won the Champions League, I think I will give it to him. And while he was in Marseille, he played very well. He was a mainstay in the team. You know, I won't put him in gold, and see that even these guys too, at the time they were moving to Europe, and he played well under 20. You know, it was a representative, he played well. And the little time he spent in the national team, I think he served us well. Mm. I known for his long range shots and free kick. I think I'll put him. Let me just put him in world class, not in goats. I can't put him in goats. I just put him in world class based on the little things I just gave. Because it's not easy for you to move from local league to a top club like Marseille, and from Marseille moving to Milan. I'll just put him there, world class.
I'm going to agree with you. I think while his national team career does not quite stack up to some people in terms of the fact that he didn't win, he was a bronze medalist at the AFCON. I just think that his club career trumps a lot of other people's club careers. What he was able to do. And for someone like me who was born in the late 90s, Taiye Taiwo was a name that was ringing in my ear, those early 2000 years going into the 2010. Unfortunately, he just missed out of the AFCON in 2013, so he didn't win that trophy. But when I think of Nigerian defenders, considering my age, considering the amount of games that I've watched, Taiye Taiwo is someone that I rate and I hold in very, 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 very high regard. I would agree he's not quite good status considering what some other people have done for Nigeria and also at club level, but I'm going to put Taiye Taiwo in world class. So, Mr. Adedotun, I agree with
I would personally say if Taiye Taiwo is not GOAT, he's the closest world class player to GOAT for the Super Eagles. Taiye Taiwo, I was old enough, I was 12 years old when Mikel Obi and Taiye Taiwo suited up for Nigeria in the Under 20 World Cup to play against me 2005. And let me not lie to you, they rocked my world. Taiye Taiwo and Mikel rocked my world so much. Yes, we can say Taiye Taiwo did not win AFCON or all these kind of things, but he's very unfortunate about the time he entered the Super Eagles. This is a man that still made over 50 appearances for the national team and also scored 8 goals for the Super Eagles. I'm not sure there's many defenders, if any, that even scored that amount of goals for him as he did for the Super Eagles. Because he played in that 2010 World Cup that was shambolic, that counts against him. Missing out on the 2006 World Cup counts against him. But I think if you look at pure talent and what he meant to the team, being a bona fide starter, set piece specialist, all-round warrior, tackler, and I love what Mr. Adedotu said. He's one of the few players on this list, if I'm being honest, that can be considered a legend for one of the clubs he played for. If you see the way they talk about Taiye Taiwo in Marseille spaces till today, he can go there, he'll sit down in Star Velodrome, watch any match he likes. Maybe we might disagree on the GOAT, but I think he has a very, very huge chance of being in that tier based on what he did for the Super Eagles and also his club career, personally.
Smith, like, okay, who's your pick?
I have to go with I think the richest man here on the list, Mike Abinalo. So maybe I think the richest
That's how the money is good.
Saudi money. So for me, he was a young boy in Rangers. It was a teammate was part of the big, very talented Rangers team there. This guy that was Chibuzo Idowu. They were like together there before he actually would move abroad. So for me, he suddenly disappeared and resurfaced in 1994 when Nigeria was about to go to the World Cup. Super Eagles career for me not really eventful. So one notable thing we can see him, to achieve in Nigeria basically was to play well for Rangers, along with on the Christian Chukwu, Chibuzo Ilobu, before he went abroad in 1995. So for me, I'm sorry, you're in Saudi now enjoying your this thing, but it's MPFL right now. For me, I think it's MPFL. I don't think he did enough So he went abroad, he came back. So there was no club-based thing to say that okay, he did well. He just came to the World Cup. In fact, when he came to the World Cup to play as a left back, we missed Iroha in that World Cup. So for me, I think he didn't do enough to say Super Eagles. I think it's MPFL along with Obinna Nwaneri.
I'm going to agree with you. All due respect to Mike, I love what he did at my club as well. But I just think that when I look at the other names on this list, it's hard for me to put him above some of the other players. Even another player from my club is on this list. It's going to be interesting to see where he ends up. But for Mike Emenalo, I'm going to agree with you. MPFL tier. Not a disrespect to him. It's just that other players stack well above him. My turn now. My turn now. We have 4 players in GOAT. We have 3 players in World Class, 2 in Super Eagles, and 2 in MPFL. I'm going to try to stick somebody in one of the bottom 2 tiers. And this guy is a guy that I like. He's doing things currently, one of the best at his position right now in the world. But unfortunately, national team career, while we see his quality and we know how good he is, he has not been able to deliver anything yet. I mean, he has the MON to his name for his participation at the last AFCON, but we cannot compare to those that have achieved and actually won trophies with the Super Eagles. At club level, while his club career is currently on the upward trajectory, he has, started at my club, but hasn't quite achieved like we would have hoped for him to achieve at club level. I'm talking about Ola Aina. I love him. Great guy, great personality, fun guy. But I'm going to have to stick him in MPFL. And it's hard for me to say because I think that right now he's one of the best in the world at his position. But I just think that MPFL is the best that I can give him in this ranking. Does anybody disagree or agree with me?
I disagree with you.
Disagree.
Everybody disagrees.
Massive disagree. I was even looking at the names that is he talking about somebody else?
Where do you guys want to put the line on?
If I'm going to look at what he's doing right now, I will put him slightly above Super Eagles and slightly below World Class. If you're saying like African, I can put him there. So because he's still young, he's still trying to be World Class or G.O.A.T. But for now, a little bit above Super Eagles and a little bit below World Class.
Smedlai, where would you put him?
To put him in MPFL is really it's not really good.
I think I only said that for content. I was like, no.
He's a guy that won the AFCON bronze, he won AFCON silver,
Team of the tournament, like
he performs 3 AFCONs, he now really missed out of the World Cup in 2009. So for me, I think Super Eagle would be fair for him.
I don't think Super Eagles is just because his career is not over. If we're being honest, compared to some of these other defenders we are calling, you can say Ola Aina's club career has not gone well, but this guy made over 100 appearances in Syria, over 80 appearances in the Premier League, contender for Premier League Team of the Season. Premier League Team of the Season. we're mentioning players, I will say MPFL, Abba now. This is a player that is a seasoned professional for the Super Eagles, plays his heart out for Nigeria every time, sagging his pants or not. The dedication is so clear. And when you're even looking at the current, going to be playing Champions League football next year, I think he has. I agree with Mr. Adedo too. There's category between Super Eagles and world class right now. I know it's there, but if I'm being honest, I think we can even chuck him in world class. But LPFL, Abba.
You guys overpower me, so Ola Aina is not in MPFL, so we're going to put him in Super Eagles.
Manage down.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough. I mean, I understand where you guys are coming from. For me, I just thought that if I were picking some other players, let's see how the list ends up though. Okay, Olu, it's your turn. Who's your pick?
I have to go with one of the first players I knew about when it came to the Super Eagles growing up as someone born in 1993. Celestine Babayaro. He's one of the first Super Eagles players I ever heard about or even knew about. We all know about his career at Chelsea. We know how young he was in terms of being one of the earliest players to even start games in the Champions League. He was part of the 1996 team that won the gold medal at the Olympics, played in multiple AFCONs. Correct me about the World Cup. I don't know if he played in 98.
He played.
There we go.
And that's too.
It was in 2002 squad as well, but that 2002, I don't like talking about it because we just went there to do rubbish, to make up numbers. So, but when you look at his career and what he meant to the Super Eagles, even the way he was you say he's one of the first Nigerian players to really establish himself in the Premier League and have a very good career in the Premier League, at least in my opinion, from what I know and what I used to watch, and was a starter for Chelsea. Even though Chelsea in the 90s were not necessarily the Chelsea of, I was going to say today, but that'll be a lie. The Chelsea of 2005 to 2021, you still have to say that Chelsea team was still finishing fourth, fifth, sixth regularly, winning a few FA Cups here or there. And I think Babayaro's contribution to the national team and his club career definitely stacks up. So for me, I would put Babayaro. I mean, I don't know if our senior men have another name in mind for the GOAT status, because I was thinking Taiye Taiwo. But for me, Babes on what Babayaro did for the national team, I would put him either world class or he's definitely world class at the least. But for me, let me say world class. Let me hear my senior men speak. I just say world class. Babayaro world class.
Anybody disagree with that?
I agree with him.
I would have loved to push him to GOAT, but it's just because I have a player in mind too. But just to highlight what Barry Rashford did, he's always on the podium. He was part of the team that won Japan in '93. 17 World Cup. He won the Olympic Games too for Nigeria in 1996. The youngest player ever. I remember the music commentary then. There's a teenager, on the Nigerian team, the 17-year-old Bayaro. 17 at that time. I remember when he was about to leave Nigeria. No, it was not even, he was too small to leave Nigeria then. So, fantastic player in his days. Is the definition of what of a modern day left back. Is the way he's just so good. So for me, I would have loved to put him to GOAT, but just because there's one player here that I think might probably actually will get that last spot. So for me, I agree with the world class to this thing. But the reason why I'm going to just say world class because he didn't end Super Eagles career well. So that's it.
We will stick Babayaro in world class. Now we have 4 players in GOAT. We have 4 players in world class. We have 3 in Super Eagles, and we have 2 in the MPFL category. Mr. Adedotu, is your pick.
I will go with for no other person than Getru Tired Uche Okechukwu. I always say that most of these guys they came for their time. He also he left the country late, he left it, but he won he won the league twice with Royal. He went to Bromby. He was part of the team that won the 19 AFCON in 1994 and was also the 1990 team. And I was one of the first few free scoring defenders that Nigeria ever produced. If because of my love for him, this is my personal opinion, I'll put him G.O.A.T. If Uche was playing now, Uche Okechukwu was one of the few defenders that got cautioned. I was someone that was easy that could mark out any player easily. I remember when he did that 1994, you know, that he marked out all the players they thought were going to, play with us. I said, I will make him GOAT. Uche Okechukwu on my that for me. I put him GOAT.
Okay. Anybody disagree?
I have to agree. That's actually what I had in mind to to actually what to put in a good category too. They call it gentle giant. A lot of people don't know that he proved himself in the local league even before moving abroad. I don't know if you have read about uh, this man's father, Kasper Schmeichel.
Peter Schmeichel, the player was Bromby.
Yeah. If you read his autobiography, he mentioned how good Uche Okechukwu actually was because he played along with Uche Okechukwu in Brondby. So they were in Brondby together. So I can tell you that this guy is like a beast. And unfortunately, he was about to leave Brondby to join United. I've known him more, but that transfer, he went for the Turkey, this thing. So for me, one of the best players to actually wear the green white jersey. So committed. We never know, he's a gentle giant. So for me, I think he also fits into the good category.
Even with my age, I had a feeling that that was who Smiglaya had in mind, but I don't want to pretend like I watched him as much as my boss here. But I'm very aware of his contributions for the Super Eagles, winning the AFCON in 1994, part of the Olympic squad. There's even a lot of clips when you watch like our World Cup games, or like even that Super Eagles '96 documentary. A lot of those corner kicks, so say you always see Ogechukwu with that. I don't know if you want number 5 or
Yeah, 5.
so. No, I definitely agree. I had a feeling that's who you had in mind. That's why I didn't say that Babayaro one. So I agree with that one.
When I wrote my list down, he was definitely somebody that I had written into the GOAT category. And I mean, Uche Okechukwu was before my time. I was born in the late 90s. He did most of his things in the early 90s. But for me, every time I've heard about Nigerian footballers, not even just Nigerian defenders, footballers in general, he's a name that always pops up. I know he's one of the best defenders ever. So I agree with that one.
Looking at what Smith was saying, this man is a serial winner. I'm just looking at his skinny. He won the NPFL twice, 1988, 1989. Went straight to Denmark, won the Danish Superliga 1990, 1991. And then obviously he played in Fenerbahce for 9 years, but he won the Turkish league twice as well. So I love the fact that you can also see the medals on the table to back up our talk on his career.
Free scoring defender. Free scoring defender.
We filled up our goods category, so we need to fill up the other ones. You guys have been refusing to pick MPFL, but we're going to have to get there sooner or later.
I don't want to pick this name, but all of you are rejecting the name. So I have to pick it. And I know that people will still come for me because I'm picking this name. I'm going to pick the current technical director of the Super Eagles, Austin Eguavoen. I don't know, a lot of people, I don't want to be a broken record here that I always come after him. But, Cerezo himself, served the country very well. It's 1987, 1988, he was there in Morocco, 1988. Fantastic player, a lot of people don't know that he wasn't even a right back, for his club side, was a central defender, but he was being combined with a right back. For me, he's got this impactful Super Eagles career, but also, also shallow with what controversies too. So, in my own opinion, I have to put him in the NPFL, and I have my reasons for that. He has played well for Nigeria, but all those mistakes and everything he has been from Eguavoen. In the 1994 mistake that led to our house star at the World Cup, everything. He wasn't fit. He came against Paraguay. He didn't do well. So I don't know how, after he retired, in my own opinion, and he played a lot of time for Nigeria, but I've never seen any benefits. For me, I think it's the NPFL.
Do we all agree, or anybody does that? Anybody does?
I disagree with me, like, because I watched Cerezo in his first commission for Nigeria. He played very well for Nigeria at Morocco States. He wasn't there in 1990, 94. I think he started out, but towards the end of his career, towards the end of his career, that was 98, he wasn't there. So I'll put him Super Eagles. Cerezo played well for he go and watch Cerezo 88, 90. Cerezo was very, very good. He served Nigeria well. I was committed.
Olu, do you agree or disagree with MPFL for Eguavoen?
I think based on the players that I don't want to pretend like I watched as much as our fellow contributors, but I watched him in that Super Eagles doc, and I know he made the mistake against Italy, but he still went to the World Cup. He still won AFCON. So if we're minusing points for people for not winning AFCON, IoT wink wink, we should put Eguavoen as Super Eagles carry. I played 49 times for Nigeria now. I went to World Cup. So from what I know, I'll say Super Eagles player.
Let me just say,
So, like, hold on now. It's up to me. If I agree with you, we'll leave him in MPFL. But if I disagree, we're going to move him to Super Eagles. My thing is that now, when I look at the rest of the names on the list, unfortunately for me, a lot of these guys were way before my time. And I don't quite have the knowledge of them like you might have, Smith or like Mr. Adedotun would have. The likes of Tuneba Mideles, the likes of OK Sima. I didn't watch these people play. Uche Okechukwu, I didn't watch him play. But you guys refused to allow me to put Ola Aina in MPFL. You moved Ola Aina to Super Eagles. When I compare the careers of Ola Aina and Cerezo, the difference is that Ola Aina has not won the AFCON. But something that I forgot when I was initially speaking is that even though Ola Aina was not really a key player, Ola Aina won the UEFA Champions League.
Hmm.
Even though he wasn't a key player, he won the UEFA Champions League. So yes, he has a medal, and I think he also has an English Premier League medal
mhm.
under Antonio Conte. So if we're going to put Ola Aina in Super Eagles, I'm going to have to agree with Smidlai, and I'm going to stick Eguavoen in MPFL. Not because he did not serve us well, but because the other people that were putting at that level, you know, exception maybe Kenneth Omeruo, who we put in Super Eagles, the other ones had more that they won in their club careers. So and again, some of the other names here I think deserve to be higher. And I don't want those names to miss out. So I'm going to agree with Midlai and I'll put Eguavoen in MPFL category. Okay. It's my turn. It's my turn. I'm going to go with a legend of Nigerian football. We already mentioned him when we were speaking earlier. Um, and I think that it would be bad for us to not put him into this category, considering the fact that we mentioned that when he was out of the team, we definitely missed him. Started his career in Nigeria, made his way to Europe, played in the USA, and also had a brief stint in England, towards the later days in his career. He's one of those names that whenever I hear people talk about Nigerian legends, his name always comes up. I'm talking about Mr. Benedict Iroha,
Penny boy.
legend of Nigerian football. I'm going to stick him in the world class category. I think that some of the other names that I hear, I would fight if you people want to put some other people ahead of him. So I'm going to take up that last spot in world class and put Ben Iroha. Does anybody disagree?
I disagree with you. I would have loved to. I would have put him in world class. For the Israel injury he had, but I'll still put him in Super Eagles. For the few times he played for Nigeria, he was a phenomenal. But unfortunately for him, when he went to, I think he played was in Holland for Velo, was in Holland. I think his career was just cut short because of injury. For injury, he played well for 1 year. If not for injury, then would have been a world class. Like July said, if not for his injury in 1994, would not maybe Michael Menalo would not have played any match for Nigeria because Ben was our first choice. Mind you, Ben was such a midfielder in 1 year, but was playing left back for Super Eagles. You know, if not for his injury, I would have put him in world class. But I will put him in upper Super Eagles. Upper Super Eagles.
Smidlai, do you agree or disagree with me?
If I'm putting Taiye Taiwo and Celestine Babayaro in the world class category, these three left back, they are probably our best, left back, with different generations. for me, I think it did well for Nigeria, but I just think Taiye Taiwo, though he didn't win AFCON, Babayaro just seems to be slightly what ahead of him. Fantastic player, a fighter, but in my own opinion, I just think that everything they did, the Super Eagles 94, squad would have been the climax, would have been the best, for him to show his talent properly. But unfortunately, he didn't make the team. So, it's going to be unfair to put him in the same category with Bayaro and Taiye Taiwo. So that's the reason why I think a Super Eagle might be fair for him.
Okay, Olu, agree or disagree?
I have to go with the OGs, man. I can't even pretend that I watched it. I used to hear his name a lot growing up. Don't get me wrong, like I was aware of his contributions, but I can't give an objective view. So I differ to the senior men. So Super Eagles it is.
So you guys have overpowered me again for the second time, and we're going to put Ben Iroha in Super Eagles. Okay, so we have four in Super Eagles right now. So we're putting Iroha on the same level as Ambrose and I know, but okay, no problem.
I know us to be work. I know.
Okay, no problem. Olu, over to you. Who's your next pick?
Well, the last player still available that I remember watching, or at least can give an informed opinion on, will be the formidable fullback, Chidi Odiah. Well, let me first say, Chidi Odiah I remember he was an exciting fullback. He played in the Nations Cup in, I think it was '06 and 2010, and also went to the 2010 World Cup. And I just remember him for being very, very fast. I just know that he had pretty good contributions and was a fairly solid defender. Very, very storied career in Russia. He stayed there for a long time, I think almost 10 years at CSK Moscow. So, but he only played for the Super Eagles 28 times, you know. So initially I was considering putting him in the Super Eagles category, but based on the conversations we've had today, and because I don't like the slides Ola and no disrespect, we can't put him in the same category as Ola and no, who I really think should be world class. But so I would say Chidi Odiah can go in the MPFL career tier. Pretty decent career, good contributions, but ultimately did not win anything for the Super Eagles and was part of a generation of Super Eagles that flattered to deceive based on the expectations, based on how good we thought they were. So I'll say it's the MPFL tier.
Okay, agree or disagree?
I would have loved to disagree, but it's just because, if you have Ola Aina in the Super Eagles category, I don't think it's fair to have Ola Aina and Chidi Odiah there. Chidi Odiah won European medal for himself. He was a champion of the Europa League. I remember he played the final against Joseph Anakiri, two Nigerians. Jose Pasero was the coach of was the coach of Sporting Lisbon.
Is it that Wagner Love CSK Moscow time? Wagner Love, yeah.
Odia can dribble anything. But it's just that his Super Eagles career did not really kick off. If we have made the World Cup in 2006, I think that would have been the best opportunity for him to show himself. It was already going slightly down, in 2010 when he played in South Africa. So for me, based on we're tight now, I think I go with I agree with Olu.
Huh. Okay, I mean, I don't really have a say anymore because you've agreed with Olu, so we're going to stick him in the MPFL. But I'm just going to say we're going to put Chidi Odiah, who won absolutely everything with CSK Moscow, on the same or below Efe Ambrose.
I have a suggestion. If you would agree that we should move Ola and not to world class, because you also mentioned his medals on the table, and right now this is a man that makes me very proud to cover him on my podcast. In fact, I put him on the Osime Lukman Boniface tier of how talented they are and how well they are playing for their clubs. If you accept we can move Ola and not to world class, I would accept we can put Chidi Odiah in Super Eagles because that's where I really wanted to put him, if I'm being honest.
Let's wait and see how the list pans out. We have one spot left in World Class, one spot left in Super Eagles, and one spot left in MPFL. Okay, who's next?
Me,
Okay, who's your pick?
I will go for Block himself today Bamidele. Yeah, because having played three AFCONs, he won AFCON in 1980, he was there in 78, and was there in 1982. And when he joined Eagles, he was the only one that came from an unknown team called Raka Rovers. He was the only one that made the team from Raka Rovers, an unknown club from Kano. The Raka Rovers is now the present day Kano Pillars. You know, and it was Christian Chukwu's defensive partner at the AFCON. So Tunde Bamidele, I love about him from my dad. He served Nigeria well too. He served Nigeria there. From there, moved to shooting. He served Nigeria well. So I'll put him in Green Eagles because then it was Green Eagles. So I'll put him in Super Eagles.
So then Bamidele Super Eagles. Do we agree or disagree? Smidlai, you go first.
I think I agree. I agree.
Okay, if Smidlai agrees, that's all we need. So now we have two more picks, one for world class and one for MPFL. The two players that are still on the board are Uche Okechukwu, and the other player on the board is Oke Isima. Smidlai, your pick.
I have to go with Uche Okechukwu. The way we pick this thing, I can see some players in the Super League category that why can't just. But I have to put Uche Okechukwu to the world class category because a fantastic, a tough tackler, and I remember there was Uche Okechukwu, Uche Okechukwu. You have this FT big man, in Super Eagles defense that when you see them come for warm up like this, others, opponents normally panic. For me, Uche Okechukwu, fantastic personality, good player. So, I'd have loved to change things around, but I have to. I can't put Uche Okechukwu in the FPL. I'm sorry. I think maybe Okechukwu might go there. I think it has to be Uche Okechukwu for the world class.
Okay, so Uche Okechukwu. Does anybody disagree?
Well, if I'm going to pick between the two of them, probably because Uche Okechukwu played at the World Cup, that I'll put him there. But if I'm going to rate him, I don't even think that even Uche Okechukwu lived up to that world class. But we have to choose. You have just two sports, and between him and Okestima, even though Okestima too played at two AFCONs, so I think I would still give it to. I will support. I will agree with like for Uche Okechukwu that he won the AFCON, he won gold, he won silver, and he also played at the World Cup, even though he didn't have an eventful club career. I think I agree with him.
Then we have no choice but to stick Sima as the last player in the MPFL category. So just to recap the categories, in GOAT, we have Joseph Yobo, Stephen Keshi, Yisa Sofoluwe, Taribo West, and Uche Okechukwu. In World Class, we have Christian Chukwu, Troost-Ekong, Taiye Taiwo, Celestine Babayaro, and Uche Okechukwu. In Super Eagles, we have Uncle K, Kenneth, Omeruo, Ambrose, Ola Aina, Benedict and Bamidele Tunde. In MPFL, we have Obinna Nwaneri, we have Mike Enemalo, we have Eguavoen, we have Chidi Odiah, and we have Oke Isima. There's a few things that I disagree with, but we have to stick with it how it is. You're asking for VAR.
This Ola Aina pick has to be reviewed. I'm sorry, guys. Like, what we doing here? This Uche Okechukwu guy played 34 games for Nigeria. Like, I'm not saying he don't do well, but what are we doing now? Come on, Ola.
Uche Okechukwu played at two World Cups.
No problem. Good for him. Football has never been harder than today. We are watching Ola Aina with our kuro eyes. We are seeing what he has done for the Super Eagles. Team of the tournament in AFCON. It's not his fault they didn't pick him for that last World Cup in 2018. It's not his fault the NFF keep doing nonsense to allow these guys miss our World Cup.
When Ola Aina watches this video, at least he will see that you fought for him. And I'm sure he'll be mad at me because I tried to stick him in MPFL. But we have to stick with it the way it is. Let's now focus on our GOAT category. Okay, we have Joseph Yobo, Stephen Keshi, Yisa Sofoluwe, Taribo West, and Uche Okechukwu in GOAT. And then now we have to rank them from 5 to 1. I'm going to pick this player because I'm young, but he's one of the players that I grew up knowing. His legend speaks for itself till today. What he did for the Super Eagles, what he did for club level cannot be understated. I'm going to pick Taribo West, and I'm going to stick him at number 3. I don't think he's quite Nigeria's best ever defender, but I think that he's better than at least 2 other players on this list. So I'm going to stick him at number 3. Olu, who's your pick?
I have to go with one of the players that I did watch properly. So Joseph Yobo. I mean, we've already spoken about his credentials and all he achieved for the national team. AFCON winner, World Cup round of 16, Premier League greats. I would let our senior men potentially put someone else number 1, but I would say Joseph Yobo is at the very least, number 2. Because even when you look at the longevity and how many games he played for the Super Eagles, he's one of only 2 or 3 players to ever make 100 caps for the Super Eagles, and not slave caps who like Musa Oun, that they give him extra 2 minutes here or there to be coming onto the pitch for nothing. So I'll put Yobo as number 2 just so we get the discussion going. But I think he has a very credible shot at number 1 too. But I'll say Joseph Yobo number 2.
Okay, so we have Taribo West at number 3 and Joseph Yobo at number 2. Mr. Adedotun, your pick.
No other person, God bless his soul. The big boss himself, Stephen Keshi. I put on number 1. I'll put on number 1. Because a lot of people don't know what Keshi did for the Super Eagles. And Keshi was also scoring goals. Anytime, remember Sega 92, when he caused the goal, Keshi against all went forward and scored winning goal. That left foot thunder. So I'll put the big boy himself, God bless his soul, as number 1. Stephen Keshi. Blessed memory.
Okay, Smidlai, you have position 4 and 5 left.
I think based on my love for Yisa Sofoluwe, I'm going to pick him as number 4. I just think the guy just came before his time, very talented player. He might not be the one that so flashy, but can tell you that he's going to do the job for you. It have been the 94 World Cup, but because he was already getting tired towards that time, that's why in the actual make that team. So for me, he's got my number 4.
So okay, Sofoluwe goes in number 4, and then inadvertently, Okechukwu sticks in the number 5 position. Let's focus on number 1 now. Can we all agree that Stephen Keshi is the GOAT of all Nigerian defenders?
For me, I agree. Keshi is like, I don't know, is the longest serving captain, in the Nigerian national team, and his coming to Nigeria team was not by accident. It came when Christian Chukwu was about to retire from the national team. I remember the first game he came on, that was in the World Cup qualifier against Algeria. And that was 1981 or so. He came on and they were dribbling the Nigerian Chukwu. He came on to plug that place. And since then, he never looked back until he finished his career in 1994. So he was there for 13 years, 13 to 14 years, to tell you the longevity there. It was in Europe. He was banned by the NFA then. That is he came cool, because he spoke up, he was banned, he went to Ivory Coast, he came back, he went through everything. For me, I think he is the best defender in the history of Nigeria.
I mean, I have to agree. Olu?
Totally agree, to be honest. That's the reason I put Yobo in number 2. I had a feeling. I just didn't want to speak on Keshi because I didn't watch him as much as Egbons, but I'm very aware of what Stephen Keshi. I think you could even argue that Stephen Keshi is, if there's a debate for a single person who is most important in terms of the contribution to Nigerian football or the Super Eagles or the national team, in any capacity you want to dress it up, Super Eagles or Nigerian football as a whole, or just the ecosystem of how we watch and we love our national team. I think Stephen Keshi is goated in all these categories. So may his soul continue to rest in perfect peace and very, very well deserved, in my opinion.
Okay. There we have it, guys. That is our ranking of the greatest Nigerian defenders of all time. Our final ranking, we have Uche Okechukwu in 5th position. We have Sofoluwe in 4th position. We have Taribo West in 3rd. We have Joseph Yobo in 2nd. And the GOAT of all Nigerian defenders, Stephen Keshi. We know his legendary status. If you guys are watching and you disagree with us on any of the picks, feel free to complain in the comments. We'll engage with you guys.
Tell them about Ola Aina. Tell them about Ola Aina. Tell them in the comments.
And if you agree with us, let us know what you agree with as well. And feel free to also give us your own top five. This has been fun to do. Of course, in the next video on this series, we'll rank the greatest ever Nigerian midfielders. We'll also rank in a future video the greatest ever Nigerian attackers, and then we will do a ranking of the greatest Nigerian players of all time, regardless of position. So make sure you subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss any of that. And of course, look forward to the rest of this series as we continue to rank players and so much more engaging content to come on EaglesTracker. Thank you very much to my guest, Olu. It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much.
Oh, thanks for having me.
And Smitlai,
Thank you.
thank you very much as always. All right, bye bye, guys.